Hmm. Hello, everybody. Welcome to New Earth Rising. We are so happy that you are here, and we are so happy to be here. I'm Michele Amburgey. I am the Awakener, and I'm here with my buddy Sharon, the Shenanigator,
Hi, everyone. We
and
are
an
all
amazing
sprung
being of
out
love and
here, aren't
light.
we? Yeah, we are.
Spring has sprung on the new earth,
That's right.
and it is rising. And today we are here with you guys. We have got a couple of really fun things to talk about. We're going to talk about past lives and what all is involved with that. And we're also going to touch on empathy, those people that are empaths. There's empathy, and then there's actually being an empath. They're very similar, but there's also some differences too. But the past life stuff is always so much fun. And so just very quickly, as we're getting started here, I'm Michele Amburgey. I am a psychic and intuitive energy healer. I do light language. I'm a spiritual teacher, and I love what I do. It is so beautiful. My website's micheleamburgey.com. I also have a membership site on that same site, and we do YouTubes. And Sharon's got all kinds of awesome stuff too. We just so enjoy each other. So Sharon, tell all of our followers what you are and what you're doing for the world, because it's amazing.
Oh, thank you, Michele. I just had this image of us sitting in this field of flowers. I'm next to the water, but we're in this field of flowers. It just feels, here in Oregon, we have a beautiful day. So I'm loving the flowers and the spring vibe still. I know in California, you get used to the sunshine, right?
You do kind of get used to the
Yeah.
sunshine.
Yeah.
We do have our poppy bloom happening right now,
Oh,
where the hills are alive with poppies, and it's just absolutely beautiful.
nice.
Absolutely beautiful.
Yeah. So we are springy today. Still continuing with the equinox and the beginning of spring. I am Sharon Sananda Kumara. Thank you, everyone, for being here. And Michele and I are here to help as many as possible with our abilities and gifts. And mine are psychic medium as well, channel, hypnotherapist. And I do specialize in past life therapy as well. I'm so happy we're talking about past lives and how delving into them can clear a lot of stuff that's getting in our way in our current life. So I also have an academy, the Kumara Academy of Transformation, where I teach lots of workshops and courses and just loving life.
And that's what we're supposed to be doing. And I just want to tell everybody, I've taken some of Sharon's classes and they're really good.
Oh, thank you. Well, when you love what you do, how can it not be good, right?
Exactly. Exactly. And that's one of the things that's so beautiful about this genre that we've landed in as practitioners and as intuitives and healers in the spiritual bent, in the spiritual strain, is there's so much joy and there's so much happiness to what we do. We're helping people, we're helping the world, we're making the world a better place. And it's truly is magical. It's not without its challenges, but it really is magical. And that's why we're so happy to be here. And we're so happy that everybody else is here too.
I know. And as we're doing that, if I can interrupt you just for 1 second, my friend.
Absolutely.
As we do that, we learn and grow too, because you know that each class we teach, each session we sit with, there's something there for us, and we learn and we grow as well.
Yeah. And it's something you learned after you have years of being a spiritual teacher under your belt. Your best teachers are your students. They really are, because, we're all here on this planet as, individuated specks or fractals of the one, but we all have a different viewpoint. And presenting a topic like we're doing today, but we get different people's viewpoint. And it's so cool because always, without a doubt, every class I've ever taught, I always come away with learning something new from someone in that class.
Oh, yeah.
And it's awesome. And that's why it's so cool to just really stay open and available to what comes to you, because spirit moves through everybody. And so we're always learning, always growing.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing once you are walking that path of realizing, doing what you were meant to do, living the life you were meant to live. Yeah, it's took a little while for me, but hey, I'm
Yeah,
here. Yeah, that's okay. It's the journey that matters, right?
it is. And
Mhm.
even the parts of the journey that we walked on that didn't have anything to do with, or didn't look like it had anything to do
Right,
with our
right.
spiritual growth, were every bit as important. You
Yeah.
know, the first half of my life, it was going to school, and I just loved the boys, chasing boys around Southern California, and getting married, having kids, and going through a divorce and all that good stuff. At the time it was like, oh my God. But when I look back, it made me grow up. It made me get responsible. It awakened me to so many things that, I may never have experienced. And it helps me to bring wonderful insight and experience into my sessions and into the work that I do. And realizing now everything we do is guiding us on our path, whether it's what we like or whether it's what we want, or even seems applicable. Everything matters. Everything is important.
True. So let's talk about past lives.
Those are
And
important too.
they are important. They're a part of us. They are a part of us.
Totally.
They make us who we are now, in the here and now. All of our experiences, not just in this lifetime, but a culmination of many lifetimes that we've
Yeah.
experienced. And if I could share, Michele, how I learned about past lives and
Ooh,
past life therapy.
yes. Do
Okay.
tell.
Okay. Well, I never really thought about past lives or reincarnation, whatever you want to call it, during my life until I had my near-death experience and was going through my quickening and started working with Yeshua, Jesus, and he was working with me in my meditations. And I've shared here before that I was in my room every night at 9 p.m. with him. I mean, who wouldn't want to be in your room with Jesus, right? At 9 p.m. every night. I made sure I was there with him, and went through many lifetimes. He brought me into many past lives, and I didn't know anything about it. He was teaching me how to move into past lives and also how to heal any traumas and bring them into the light. And what he helped me with, well, we would go through 3 or 4 lifetimes in a session, in a meditation of traumatic lifetimes. And he helped me clear those. And a lot of them had to do with the people that were in my life at
Yeah.
that time. Those, those seem to be at the surface. And then he helped me with some really deep ones as well, and helped me clear them and showed me and taught me how to do the work I do now. So that's how I started learning about how important um, past the emotional uh, traumas or baggage, whatever you want to call it, of past lives are, if we haven't cleared them at the time of the lifetime of the experience of the expression. Because what he helped me understand was that we come here to experience everything, express everything in expression, experience everything, because we are God in expression. Whether it be the good or the bad, I guess, whatever you want to call it, the light and the dark. And what happens because of our, in this realm, the emotions get very heavy, and we forget sometimes when we make our plans
Totally.
how heavy it is here, and the trauma of it, of whatever experience it is that we choose in that lifetime, because we want to choose everything, right? We want to do everything. Can get stuck if we don't close that karmic loop within that life experience.
Yep.
And what happens is when we die, if we haven't closed that karmic loop with forgiveness, or it's usually forgiveness, or bringing that experience into the whole and not being stuck in grief, shame, guilt, shame and guilt, sadness, whatever, anger,
Yeah, anger is a big one. Fear.
fear. Yes. Guilt is huge too. The shame and guilt
Mhm.
one too. Yeah. And that causes depression and all that. So that's the result of all that. So if we don't, bring that into the whole when we die, bring that experience into the whole when we die, then that part of us is what I've learned and I see in my work. And Michele, you can of course explain how you see the past lives. Um, that then that part of us is fragmented, that personality. And that's why we come back to heal, and that's why we don't feel whole when we come here.
Yeah.
There's parts of the puzzle, and you show me we're a big puzzle, and there's parts of the puzzle that are missing, and we come here to bring those in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. It's so true. I love that you shared how you came to that. It was like, oh, hello. Because as you were talking, I'm like going, how did I figure it out? And I just realized that I have always been a voracious reader. And I love to read things like with historical value, so those wonderful stories that are written within historical times. And I would always be able to visualize things so vividly, but there were times when I was reading something to where it was like, I know this. And, it started happening when I was 10, 11, 12 years old. And it was like, oh my gosh, I know this. Well, I've had several experiences growing up, that deja vu that we all get, where I will be somewhere that I've read about. And it's like, I know this building. One of the things was I'm getting chills. We went to Abraham Lincoln's home that he grew up in. And I remember walking up to it and it's like, I've been here.
Wow.
I've been here. All that wasn't here then, but I've been here. I knew that house. And it was interesting because I don't have a particular connection to Abraham Lincoln, but I knew that house. And it was really, really cool. And I started having these experiences where, whether reading or going places, I would be just like, I know this place. I know this, but I didn't know what it was until I got into all of this stuff. And the first really big experience that I had where I was like, oh my gosh, there's really something to this, is I had been 5 or 6 years into all this fun spiritual stuff. And I'd heard about the past life stuff. And I was like, that's cool. But I was sleeping and I woke up from dead sleep. And as I woke up and actually sat up, I felt my head falling off. And I could actually see with the eyes on my head up to the stump.
Oh.
And then it fell down. Then I heard a dog bark. And I just went, I was Mary Queen of Scots.
Wow.
And I was just like, oh my God, what just happened? And like kind of everything kind of settled down. And it really shook me, because how could I possibly be Mary Queen of Scots, right? I mean, she was a famous figure. And I always kind of thought the past life regression stuff, people are going to find out what king or queen they were. Yeah. So I was like, no. But it was weird. Not too long after that, I found a book about Mary Queen of Scots, and it talked about that. And they talked about that she had a dog that had climbed up in her skirts, and that when they did, when they finally got her head off, that the dog barked and chased after that. And I had heard that dog bark, and I just went, oh man. And so not too long after that, I actually was over in England, and several of the castles that she had stayed at when she was being politely held. I was like, I know that. I made my friend I was with drive up to a castle, and I was just like, I've been here. And that's when I really started getting interested in it. And I actually went to Westminster Abbey, and I sat at Mary Queen of Scots tombs, and I asked her, am I the reincarnation of you? And she said, yes, my daughter. You are, but there are many reincarnations. You are not the only one. You hold a piece. And we talked about this, Sharon, too, about the Mary
The
Magdalene
Mary
connection that we
Magdalene.
have too.
Mhm,
And so she said, yes, you are technically, but
mhm.
you're not the only one that's here. You have a piece of that within you. And she told me, she said, you are carrying this with you because you are to leave disloyalty and betrayal here at the foot of my tomb. You're not to take it home with you.
Wow.
And it was like, oh my God, it's like it was, that correlation was so strong. And I sat there, I was just crying and crying. And finally the docent came and said, we're closed. Get out. And I'm like, okay. I didn't want to leave her. I
Wow.
didn't want to leave her. And so that was the experience I had where it was like, I need to explore this a little bit more. And I went into a thing with Brian Weiss,
Mhm.
many lives, many
Maybe,
masters,
right.
and studied with him and learned from him and that kind of stuff. And it's real. It really
Oh,
is.
yeah.
It is real.
Yeah.
We have lived many lives and it's beautiful because we have all that wisdom.
Mhm.
So often we go back to learn about, patterns that we've created, patterns that we continue to recreate in our lives for healing and all that stuff. But we also have to remember that we carry wisdom with us too. And
Oh,
when
yeah.
we can do that healing, it allows that wisdom to begin to come up for us to use in this lifetime too.
Right. Totally. Thank
Yeah.
you for sharing that. That's amazing.
Isn't that,
Yeah.
that was weird,
That's amazing. Definitely.
weird stuff.
My first experience that I realized, okay, this is, well, I'm in there with Yeshua. Of course, I don't doubt it, right? And yeah, but one experience that was pretty profound too is like, whoa, that whoa moment was when I was on, and this is 20 years ago or so, when I first started working with past lives. I was on a forum, online forum, a spiritual forum. We just talked about like we're doing now, only it wasn't YouTube. It was, something different with a bunch of people. And there was one gentleman in the forum, his name is Tim. And I was doing retrievals through out of body experiences for
Wow.
tragedies and things. Through out of body experiences, I was doing retrievals. And do you remember the band Great White?
I do very much.
Did you know? Did you meet them? Okay. Well, the fire, remember the fire in Rhode Island?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah. So the band Great White, there was a fire in Rhode Island and they were playing a club and people died. And there was a gentleman in the group that his name is Tim. I'm just going to start with that. And I didn't know where he lived or anything like that. He was just part of the group. He was just somebody in the group. And I'll get back to him. Anyway, so the group did a retrieval for however way they do retrievals, because we were doing retrievals, spirit rescue for the people that may not have crossed over at the fire. And so I went out of body, and I end up in a house first with a man and a woman. They're playing cards with another couple, and I'm walking around the house. I'm like, this is weird. Why am I here? I wanted to go to the club, whatever. I don't remember the name of the club, but I wanted to go there. So then I end up talking to in my out of body experiences, having a conversation with a gentleman there. And I didn't bring back what we talked about, or else I can't remember. It's in my journals. And then I went on to the club to do some spirit rescue. I ended up posting it on the forum, and this gentleman named Tim, he says, I live in Rhode Island, and you were at my house. Yeah.
Whoa.
And my wife and I play cards with our neighbors, and we just played cards the night before, and I described his house. But the kicker is
Wow.
that he started remembering that, and I started remembering a lifetime in the Civil War. My name was Prudence. He started remembering that he was my brother, and he called me Prue, and his name was Quincy. And we started having similar memories.
Wow.
We ended up knowing each other from the Civil War. We were brother and sister, and we had a step, and it took a lot for me to retrieve. I had to retrieve her and her husband. She lost her children through Quincy, ended up going off to fight, and he got scarlet fever, I think it was yellow fever or something
Yeah.
like that, and he came home and spread it to the family, and they died except for
Oh my
one of my children. Yeah. So so that was a really big retrieval for me. It was huge. But I'm like, okay, maybe this is real. Yeah, that was
Yeah.
crazy.
When it's something like that, though, it's like you really can't deny it.
No.
You know, when you experience that and you are there and you're experiencing it, you just can't deny it. And we've all had hundreds, if not thousands of lives. You know, we've all been around for a long time. I was doing working on my doctorate dissertation. And one of the things is I wanted to find out if when we incarnate, so each time we have a life, do we do it linearly? Like we incarnate in the 1800s, the 1900s, or do we zigzag back and forth? And so I started hypnotizing people and doing past life regressions and all that stuff. And I wasn't really finding anything. I was just about ready to give up. And I had a woman come to me. She was a friend of mine, and I just adore her. And she's so creative and so open. And I said, okay, well, let's take you back to your first experience of existence. Let's go back there. She went back to where she was a little tiny, about 3-inch creature that moved. It was like a C-shaped creature that moved and it was in space.
Wow.
And we had this whole thing. It didn't have a lot of a consciousness, but it was able to transmit through her how it moved, what it ate. It lived pretty much on particular I want to say vitamins, not vitamins, but particular
Minerals?
Nutrients that are in the air and space that it would eat, and it just floated around space. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you were the first alien. You were the first ET. And it was absolutely fascinating. And she had, I had her in that regression for probably an hour, just talking about different things and what it was seeing. It was fascinating. It was fascinating. And that's when I kind of realized maybe I don't want to do this for my doctorate.
It might be a little ahead of their time.
It might be a little bit too much to bite off. I don't think I can chew it.
Yeah.
But it was fascinating.
Right. That is fascinating. As we wake up, we realize that time is an illusion anyway here. Right. Yeah. And so they're not really past. It's just different expressions, different realities, which is hard for us to wrap our heads around.
Yeah.
Until we get in that space. But I had an experience called the soul clearing, which kind of reminds me of what you just shared about your client. Excuse me. And where I worked with a gal, and we did this meditation where she was really good at what she did. That night I went to bed, and I was in the in-between state the whole night, and I was clearing like from the time I left source all the way. And I saw myself as an amoeba, as a fairy. I've experienced it as a fairy, as an animal, a lizard or anything like that, all the way to human lifetimes and I saw some kind of explosion. I don't know if it was the Big Bang. I don't know if it was nuclear, whatever.
It might have been me when I blew up a planet.
Do that a lot.
That's life regression. You never know what you're going to find.
It could have been the
was
planet.
That you that was floating by?
It could have been the planet Maldek. Yeah, could have been. I don't know.
That too might have been me. I don't know.
I just know as I was going through this cycle, and I saw when I was burned at the stake, which was, I think, the
Ooh.
most vivid out of all of them.
Mm.
And I saw the being that I had to clear my agreement with in this lifetime, the male. I saw him walking. It was just so creepy, walking back and forth, and he had on the old, and I got that it was in Germany, and I was up here watching. I was already out of my body, and he had on a long black coat and the tall hat
Yeah,
that I don't know if that's 1400s, 1500s, the old,
it's
I don't
yeah.
know. Yeah. But it was just, and he's just walking back and forth watching. It was pretty creepy. But I saw that. But when I was finished with it, uh, I felt completely full. Didn't need anything. I didn't need to eat. I didn't need to drink. I felt completely full. I lacked for absolutely nothing. I was so
Wow.
full of light and full of me. Yeah, it was amazing. And then
Yeah.
as we go through our day, we lose little parts of us, here and there. It
Right.
lasted maybe a week. I don't know if that. And then and then we,
Yeah.
we give away little pieces of us. And so bringing ourselves in, that's, oh yeah, and I just got the information, which we know this, but at the end of our day, it's so important for us to recapture parts of ourselves that we give away during the day, right?
Yep. Pull all bits and pieces of ourselves back into this present moment
Yeah,
and
yeah,
cut the cords,
right. Cut the
lock the
cords.
door.
Hmm. There you go. But I learned also that that we have, I mean, that we come here once we haven't cleared a lifetime or healed a lifetime in that lifetime, that we agree to come back with the pattern
Hmm.
and experience some form of it in some way.
Yeah.
And that's when we find that we have blocks.
Yeah.
If we can't, because it's all these lifetimes are in our cell memory. And if we come to a point in our life where we have blocks and we can't quite understand, we don't have clarity, can't get through something. I used to say, well, 90% of the time it's a past life. Now I know it's 100% of the time.
Yeah.
It's
Because we
something
have the
from past lives.
patterning.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
And
we've
I know,
done it to
yeah,
clear it. Yeah.
exactly. And a
Yeah.
lot of times we create more
We do, don't we?
when we're
The whole
doing
idea,
unconscious.
yeah, the whole idea is not to create more karma here, but to
Oops.
heal it. I know.
Oops. I
But as
did
long as
it again.
poor Brittany, um, the idea is to clear it within this lifetime.
Yeah.
That's
And
the
it's
idea.
really powerful, wonderful work. And it can be almost enjoyable too,
Mhm.
that you have the power to go back and to address things. And something, just to let our viewers know, if you're stuck in a pattern, if you're stuck in, maybe the same relationship over and over and over again, no matter how much work you've done, you've done therapy, you've done, all of your spiritual work, and you're still just like getting this pattern, pulling in the same kind of people, maybe struggles with money, maybe struggles with health, even, health, you carry health patterns in with you too. That getting a past life regression is really powerful because it can help you find that initial point and clear it up before it even happened. That's one of the ways that I work with that, is we go all the way back to before the issue happened, and we do a script change. We change the frequency, we change that script, we allow, or how I do it, allow my client to have a different outcome. And
Mm,
it's amazing how quickly, boom, 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 boom,
mhm.
all the way through, it changes everything.
Nice.
And that's not the only way I do it, but that's one of the biggest ways, the most powerful way that I have found to do it. And it's we write a new story.
Yeah.
We write a new story, write a new frequency.
Yeah. Denise Lynn has a book out which is similar to that, and
Yeah.
about that. I do it a little bit differently, where how I was taught and how I do it is it's just bringing that, and there's no wrong way.
Mm-mm.
As long
No, it's
as long
wonderful.
as it, yeah, as long as whatever it works, whatever. Yeah. And I I remember reading Denise Lynn's book on that, and I thought, oh my gosh, time doesn't exist.
Right.
If you can rewrite that, time does not exist. And I saw that
Right.
she was doing something very similar. Do you know the book I'm talking about?
I do know, I haven't read it, but
Oh,
I do
okay.
know of her and I know of the
Yeah,
book.
it's a really good book. I can't remember the name of it. I read it a long time ago. Uh, but the way I was taught is bringing, and I do this with spirit retrieval as well. Spirit rescue is just helping that personality know that they have left the physical. A lifetime is over. They no longer need to be stuck in that emotional turmoil. Their future self can sure use their help, and then move them, ask them to turn around and move them into the light where their family is, where people that love them who can't see them, or they can't see their family and their guides, because their attention is on the earth plane. That's why we are able to get their attention.
Right.
So their guides and their loved ones are like a dream, like they are to us.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. So so that's how I've been taught, and that's what I do. How I help those personalities come into the whole, bringing that piece of the puzzle in.
Yeah.
But it all works. And the
Absolutely.
shamans have been doing it for a long time in a different way, with the underworld work, that type of work. Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually
Absolutely.
teach a workshop on it. I just remembered. Oh my gosh.
Ooh,
How could I
might be
forget?
time to set
Okay.
one up.
No, I have it tomorrow.
Oh,
I
what?
know. I forgot.
You are I mean,
I did.
I think I'm busy. You blow me out of the water.
Oh,
Every time I
I,
turn around, you're doing a show, you're doing an interview,
I,
oh, hell, the Sharona.
I have to look at my calendar. What am I
I think
doing
it's
today? Okay.
amazing.
It's
It's
awesome though.
amazing.
Yeah. So I teach this because we all have the ability to do it ourselves.
Yes.
We just forgot how.
Yep. And that's the magic of it.
Mhm.
And part of the thing too is most of you have already had little inklings, little things happening that let you know there's something like this going on.
Yeah.
It can be like a memory, it can be a dream patterning, again, patterns you have in your life. But most of us are like, there's something different about this, something different about this.
Mhm. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's
It's
definitely
I think it's one of the most important things we can do for our spiritual healing. I really do.
absolutely,
Yeah. So
absolutely.
I wanted to share one more thing, and then and of
Yes.
course, however you want, when you're ready to move on to empathic abilities. There's a show called The Ghost Inside My Child. Have you seen it? It's
No.
Oh, it's about children who remember their past lives,
Oh
and
my God.
the past lives are traumatic, so that's why, and they're having issues like night terrors,
Yeah.
and they come out with um, detailed information about their lifetime. And the parents, I mean, it's a documentary basically.
Mhm.
So these are real kids and real families. And it's usually the mom, not always, but usually the mom who says, I better do some research on this. Right? Because usually the parents are not aware of what
No,
their
it
child
it
could be.
scares them a lot.
Yeah, they take them to doctors and everything. And so so that because the child comes out with so much information, so much detail, and the mother ends up finding, usually the mother, I'm going to say the parents end up finding it's true information on the lifetime that this
Yeah.
child has remembered. And because it's so near close to the surface, it's usually the lifetime before the last,
Oh, interesting. So they're bringing it over. Yeah.
the last lifetime. Yeah. Like I remember one kid was like a pilot in a war, and he described the plane and
Yes.
everything in World War II or something, if it was that, I can't remember. But no little kid, 5-year-old kid could know that. There was one where a child remembered being somebody, and it could have been that one, I can't remember. But and they ended up finding the incarnated his previous life's family and took him to
Whoa.
meet his sister, and she said he has his eyes. Yeah,
Whoa.
really, she believed it. So it's a really cool show. I think it's on, I don't know, can't remember, but The Ghost Inside My Child, why they had to name it that, I don't know, but
Yeah, that makes it sound creepy.
yeah, it's a really cool show. I would highly recommend it.
You know, I had an experience like that when my son was about 8. He had to do a book report. So when you're 8, you're in second, third grade. I think he was in third grade. And he came home and said he was doing his report on Truman Capote. And I went, in third grade? And he had a
Wow.
book. And I said, why are you doing this on Truman Capote? And he said, well, because I'm the reincarnation of him. I didn't even know about this stuff at that point.
Wow.
And I said, really? And he said, yeah. And he said, and at the end of my life, I was haunted and I killed myself. And I was like, well, that's not the story that we're told. Isn't he one of those guys that just disappeared and nobody knows what happened to him? And my
Yeah, I
son
don't
was
know
like,
his story.
yeah. And my son was like, and he did that report and it was so good. And, you know, he wasn't a great student and he got like an A on the report. He did great. And it's interesting because his life is very similar.
Oh, is it?
This famous gangster. Not that my son was a gangster, but it's still kind of the same kind of patterns that Truman Capote had in his life. And it
Truman
was,
Capote. I thought wasn't he an actor? Why am I thinking of?
no, he was a gangster. He
Was
was
he a
a
gangster?
old
Okay.
school Chicago gangster. He was the Italian mafia.
Okay. Okay.
And, you know, my son is half Italian. So he had a lot of Italian and I was kind of going, oh no.
Wow.
Oh no. But yeah,
I don't know why
I
I'm
had
thinking of someone else named Truman. Truman, somebody, Truman. I don't know
yeah,
why.
no, Truman Capote. I'm pretty sure that's what he said. It's Truman Capote. Isn't it fun that we have ways of looking
Google.
this stuff up? I want to make sure I have the right thing.
I thought Truman Capote was like an actor or in Hollywood somewhere.
Let me see. Is it funny? Here we are on YouTube looking
I
up
know, right? I did.
Truman Capote. I love it.
Yeah, I'm gonna. Okay, we solved the
We
mystery.
solved the mystery. It was Al Capone, not Truman Capote. It's been 40 years ago. But yeah, it was him. He was Al Capone.
Al Capone. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And
Mm.
he was a biggie big. He was a
Yeah.
biggie big in the Italian mafia back in Chicago. The people you did mess with back in the 20s and 30s.
Right. Yeah, it just took on another form now.
Yep. He
That's a
did.
whole
Yeah.
other show.
But it's interesting, you know, sometimes we bring some of those personality traits and stuff forward with us too.
Yeah, definitely. It's fascinating. Fascinating. I'm sure you peeps that are watching, you blessed peeps, beautiful people, and you beautiful person, Michele, my good friend and sister, we meet people that we know. We've
Yeah.
had other lifetimes with them before, and they're like, yeah, I know,
Yeah.
I know you.
Yep. And that's such a great feeling too.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, yay, you're here.
Mhm.
You're here. I have a
Right.
very dear friend that I met years ago. And, you know, as soon as I looked at him, I was like, oh, you're here again. This is awesome. You know, and just such a great friend, has been a friend forever through thick and thin. And it's so beautiful. And I felt that when I met you too, Sharon. You know, and then you start
Right,
talking
yeah.
about Mary Magdalene and that you felt that you were reincarnated of her. Let's dip our toes into this. We have to. And I said, me too.
You're
We
part of that
both,
soul stream. Yeah.
and we're part of that soul stream and bringing that energy in. And there's many people out there who feel that they are that reincarnation, and we're holding that that piece of her, and it's so beautiful. And that was when it was like our hearts went, yay.
We find each other. We do. We find
Mhm.
each other. We find our tribe. As long as we are,
Absolutely.
as long as we're living, true to ourselves, we find our tribe.
Yep. And clearing up past life gunk
Yes.
helps you to begin to live your true authentic self too.
Clears the path.
Clears the path. And
Yeah.
I've done just one past life regression on people, and it doesn't always happen this way, but life changed, boom, immediately.
Yeah.
Immediately. Sometimes it takes a few, the gunk builds up over time,
Yeah.
but it's amazing.
Right. It is. Let's talk about the empathic abilities
Yes,
of people that are
empaths.
very sensitive. Yeah, which
Oh,
can be a good thing and maybe not such a good thing
I know
if
a
you don't
lot
know
of,
what's going on.
yeah, and know a lot of people that really think of it as a curse.
Mhm.
And um and you're very empathic too, Sharon, because I know I didn't even realize until about 5 years ago that I was an empath. I
Mm.
kept hearing about it, and I'm like, yeah, I'm sensitive, but I'm a pretty tough, strong person. I'm not tough like that kind of tough. I'm a wuss that way. But I'm tough, I'm strong. I like walk through stuff. And so I would say that, I'd be like, wow, it's just interesting that you're so sensitive. And yet throughout my life, I was always told, oh, you're so sensitive, grow a thick skin, think with your head, not with your heart, the cues all through my lifetime. But I never really thought of myself as an empath. And about 5 years ago, I was living in a house. A bunch of stuff happened. The house was haunted. It had been owned by a hoarder. And I just kept feeling this energy so much. And like, I can't breathe. I can't breathe, and I would wake up and I would like get flashes of boxes. And,
Mm.
I was thinking, oh, I'm having a psychic experience. And once I got out of that house, I had something come up that talking about empaths. And I was like, what exactly is this empath thing? And I realized, oh my gosh, I was feeling viscerally in my body this experience of what was going on in that house. And
Wow.
that's when I realized that, wait a minute, maybe I am an empath, because it's different being psychic or intuitive and being an empath.
Mhm.
They usually go together,
Yeah, I was just going to say the
but
same
they're
thing.
separate
Right.
experiences.
Yeah.
And it can be really overwhelming.
Yeah. I can't imagine being a psychic and not being an empath,
Yeah.
to be honest with you. Um, and I may be wrong. There may be some very, very good psychics who are
Yeah, who
not
don't need to use the
empathic.
feeling nature so much.
Yeah, because my feeler is probably the strongest out of my clairs.
Yeah.
Yeah, uh, but
Yeah. And that was something that Archangel Michael shared with me too, is that being an empath is clairsentient,
right.
but there's different degrees of it. And
Mhm.
he's saying, when it's really intense and you're just feeling everything, that moves it kind of into being an empath. Because I know a lot of psychic people, you get all the different cues, you get a word, you get a visual, you get a feeling, and we put it together, and that's how we create our messages.
Right.
But some people just have just the empath thing.
Yeah.
And that's got to be super confusing, because you don't have the rest of the process to process it through, process it out, to bring
Right.
it to a conclusion.
Right. Yeah. It can be debilitating if you don't know what's going on, for sure.
Yeah.
And very confusing, very confusing. My guides, and I know you're teaching a course, aren't you?
I am this Saturday at 3 p.m.
Oh,
If
yay.
March 26th, if you guys are catching this before. And I usually teach this class about every 3 months or so, to try to make sure the empaths can do it,
Yeah.
because it's really talking about, what is an empath, but we
Mhm.
go deeper because there's a reason for that being an empath. A lot of times it's like you just feel, and your whole life is like, oh, I'm just feeling everything. And a lot of people really struggle getting through life, but there's a purpose. There's a purpose for that. There is another gift that goes along with being an empath, and it has to do with how to process that energy. And I'm finding that empaths are very powerful transformers.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what we're talking about in that class. It's like, okay, you're an empath. Now what?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Now
Right. How do I work with this? Yeah, I know it's important. I found what I was taught with Yeshua when he taught me is to recognize it. When you start feeling all the crap around you, recognize, okay, this isn't yours, you know. It's
Yeah.
I mean, you can go within and say, okay, is this my stuff coming up? Either way, you need to
Yep.
deal with it. It needs to be dealt with, whatever it is. Let go of it, transform it, transmute it, whatever it is, heal it. Or is it somebody else's stuff? Because I noticed that when when I'm driving on the road, it took me a little while to understand this. Let's say somebody's cuts me off, and I'm listening to my music, having a good time, in a good mood, and somebody zooms around and cuts me off, and all of a sudden I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna get right on their butt or something,
Road rage, instant road rage.
I'm gonna show them, yeah, totally. And then I realized, and now that I listen to my guidance a lot more, I just tapped into that person and I'm feeling what they're feeling.
Yeah.
Okay, now I get it. I was fine. I was fine before until I tapped into that person. As soon as I sent that energy over there and tapped in that, that cord and tapped into that person, I was feeling their angst and feeling their whatever was going on with them. And then it hit me, okay, so I just need to bring myself back to my happy space again. And how I do that, I just say, I love you, I love you, I love you. Ho'oponopono.
Ho'oponopono. I love that.
Back in my happy space.
Yeah. Another way it can express itself is you get that feeling that something's going on, or all of a sudden you start getting a little anxiety. What I figured out is that you're starting to respond to something that is coming at you before it's there.
Mm-hmm.
And most people who have that kind of empath ability, usually people around you think you're absolutely crazy, because what happens is you start responding to something that has not happened yet. And it took me a while to figure it out, because I was like, what is going on? And I did it with my kids. My son and my daughter both are super intuitive, super clairvoyant, super crazy. And I remember I used to start responding to things with them, or they responding things with me before anything ever happened. And it got to be this kind of a thing. And it wasn't until I got into this and I realized that you are feeling the shift and change. You're feeling the ripples coming at you.
Right. The wave.
Before anything has ever happened. And it can make you feel like you're crazy. And it can make you look like you're crazy. And so that's something we're going to address in the class too.
Yeah.
Because it's part of your superpower. You can actually have the ability to stop it or shift it or change it. Mm-hmm. Whatever needs to be done for you.
Nice. Yeah. And when you are an empath, you do feel the change, and you feel what's going on in the planet. You feel what's, like what's going on now. We had some huge solar flare, huge solar flare recently in the beginning of the month, I believe. So if anyone out there is feeling off balance or feeling anxious, edgy, anything like that would bring, as you bring in that more light, and also with the combination of all the fear mongering going on in the world right now, I'm going to say that energy that's hanging over us can really cause someone to feel off balance for sure, and not know what the heck's going on. So just remember that you're feeling what's going on, and Michele in her course will have definitely tools to help with that, but the awareness is always the key as well, right?
Yeah. And just taking a breath and paying attention, because that it's a superpower once you master it. Mm-hmm. And once you begin to realize what's going on. And we even feel what's happening with Mother Earth. I know before that Indonesia earthquake, I used to feel Mother Earth. I would feel her groaning is the best way I can explain it. I would feel her groaning. And I was
Wow.
like, something's coming. It's like I can feel this, like, oh, but it wasn't in my ears. It was like coming up to my feet. And it
Oh,
was the weirdest, and I could hear it,
yeah.
but not
Wow.
out here in here. And when that thing hit, I mean, it literally shifted everything on the planet. It was such a massive earthquake. And it was like, oh, so you could be, they actually have words for that. I think they call it a
Geomancer.
geoempath,
Geo.
geoempath,
Oh,
geomancer.
okay.
Mm. I'm not
No.
good with my terms today. Don't ask me, or I'll give you Truman
Obviously
Capote,
me.
gosh darn
I
it.
know. I had that picture of Truman Capote in my mind. I'm like, he was a gangster? Because he wasn't gangsterish, that's
He
for
is
sure.
now.
I'm like, I don't remember Truman Capote being a gangster. Huh, okay.
You know what? We're rewriting the script.
Yes, we are.
His
We're
future
rewriting
life is
history.
going, what the hell is happening?
It's like, I got to overcome this gangster thing now.
I was an author. I had a great life. All of a sudden, I'm a gangster, and I've got cement boots, and I'm buried in a field somewhere. What happened? Who's responsible for this?
Oh gosh, that's so funny. All right, well, we've gone on long enough, haven't we?
Mhm.
Okay.
Always fun, always fun. And
Always.
just to remind everybody, subscribe,
Subscribe,
bell, and
comment,
give us a call.
like.
Yeah, yeah, these.
Yes, this one.
And also, if you're interested in past life regressions, learning more about it, Sharon's got her class tomorrow, and I know she does that class. It won't be just tomorrow and gone forever, be coming back, but contact one of us. It's a wonderful experience. It's so relaxing and rewarding, whatever the experience is. And there's always healing. There's always that clearing, that cobwebs, clearing that clutter out of the mental, emotional, and physical and spiritual closet.
Yeah.
And it can change your life. It really can.
Totally. Yeah. And for you empaths out there that need some help with your empathic abilities, Michele is having her course this weekend. That's amazing. People need a lot of help with that for sure, especially now.
Yeah, everybody's so sensitive. And with what we've gone through, if people weren't empathic, they're becoming more and more that too, as we kind of fine tune ourselves.
And we take in more light.
Yeah.
Take in more light.
Archangel Michael told me that empathy is part of telepathy.
Mm-hmm.
So as we're developing this empathic nature, and as we learn to control and master it, is when we'll be able to shift into the telepathic ability too.
Nice.
Because I don't think we're going to develop telepathy until we get a handle on all the other stuff. Because I don't want people to know what I'm thinking a lot of times. And vice versa.
I think they already know. We have no privacy.
I try to be a good girl.
I hope everyone likes my love peace button. My hippie button.
Love it.
Okay.
Peace, man.
Yes. All right. Peace out.
How can we do a love and peace sign together? I don't know. I don't know. We need a love. I don't know.
I can't do it.
We'll figure it out.
Okay. Bye, everyone. Mwah. Love you.
Love you guys. Mwah. We'll see you next week.
Yes.